Welcome to the Political Insider, brought to you today by our friends at Trade Nation. If you want to trade commodities, currencies, indices, short-term trading, Trade Nation is a platform for you to consider. They're helping us out. Go and check it out. It may be something that suits you and your portfolio, but please make sure you know what you're doing. There's money involved, so read the T's and C's. They just help keep us on the air here at the Political Insider. I'll tell you what's going to go off the air, and that is the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, where Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi brought the curtain down, the final sitting, supposedly, of the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, investigating those allegations that General Mkhwanazi made in July of last year. And he started, his entire address was by holding his line. What is his line? His line is, roughly speaking, that Mkhwanazi is the fearless crime fighter who cannot be swayed or bought, and there's a bunch of bad senior cops that are in league with criminal syndicates with the help of certain politicians. And not only are they stealing from the public purse, people are dying, there's a mess within the police service, and they're trying to get rid of Mkhwanazi because he's the only guy trying to shine a light on the malfeasance of these senior cops. Now, we know for sure that he's correct on the senior policeman thing. We have seen some dodgy senior people deluxe, from Shadrack Sibiya, Sinona, Shabiri, Sentamula. Oh, goodness, there are so many of these generals that seem to go to the same parties and share the same cosmetic surgeons. But there is no doubt that there is definitely a bad element that needs to be weeded out. What is interesting is how many of them have actually been, in the past, been put forward as people that should be looked into. But nobody in the police ever seemed to want to go that step, to actually check whether these cops were clean or not. Interestingly, the other line that gets drawn is between the Political Killings Task Team, which Mkhwanazi claims are the good guys, and IPID and IDAC. These are both organizations that are meant to keep the police clean and get rid of the rotten apples, who seem to be hell-bent on discrediting what the Political Killings Task Team was out to achieve. A lot of talk as to whether they were effective or not, but it seems like they were the only people trying to do anything at all. Right, we've seen so much and heard so much at the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee as well as the Madlanga Commission. It's hard to believe that everybody wasn't breaking the law to some extent. It seems like the law was merely a suggestion for these policemen. And, if we're going to thank Mkhwanazi for one thing, and that is for shining a light on this, taking this genie out of the bottle, and it's going to be very, very difficult to put it back in unless there is some reform at our police. So what came out in Mkhwanazi's swan song? He said, look, IPID seems to have a problem at IPID, but it's individuals and it can be cleaned up. It's an important body. You need to have a body that keeps policemen clean. It's just some people out there who weren't trying to do what they were employed to do. He said that IPID seemed to be that these bad eggs in IPID would open frivolous cases against anyone who was trying to stop criminality. And, there was no problem when external people opened cases, because usually they came with evidence. But internally, they would open cases that were just based on hearsay or on some kind of agenda. They want to get rid of somebody who's trying to clean something up, so they go and report him for something, and usually quite serious. They say either he's corrupt, or he tortured somebody, or he stole money out of a slush fund, etc. You just make these allegations. It doesn't matter whether you've got proof or not. You make the allegations. That then leads to an investigation. And it's just the investigation itself which casts a nasty, pall on that particular person who's being investigated. So quite clearly, there's a problem there. It's just not apparent. as to who is going to clean it up. You know what I found quite interesting is that in the last week, suddenly the EFF's name is cropping up all over the show. And it cropped up again because what we had Mkhwanazi going and telling you everything that was on his mind. And the EFF came up because he said that it was Julius Malema himself who was trying to broker a meeting between Mkhwanazi and Shadrack Sibiya. Now, remember, Shadrack Sibiya and Julius Malema are friends, to the extent that Julius Malema didn't sit in the ad hoc committee when Shadrack Sibiya was there. He didn't want to question his friend. He's a known associate of Julius Malema. And he was trying to get some kind of toenadering, some kind of peace talk between the two of them. Now, you must remember that Shadrack Sibiya is the Joker to Mkhwanazi's Batman. He's the bad guy. He's the guy who always seems to be involved in something that's nefarious, whereas Mkhwanazi seems to be the crime fighter. Malema was trying to get them to play nicely. Meet him is not such a bad guy, kind of thing. That will never happen. The two of them, clearly, that bad blood is never going to clean up. There's a problem there. Mkhwanazi also said that Senzo Mchunu is not fit to be the police minister. He said he lied to the commission almost in his very first statement, which is very first question, did he know Brown Mokgotsi? And he said, no, not really. And then later on had to walk it back saying, yes, I do know him, but I don't know him that well. So the solution can't come by a reinstatement of Senzo Mchunu, not if I think that was on the cards anyway. And there's some question marks around the current police minister stand-in, Feroz Kochalia, who seems that he's also an associate of one very dodgy fellow, Feroz Khan, General Feroz Khan, who seems to be the man who is a great link between politicians and the dodgy police. This is the same Feroz Khan who got the famous grabber. He's involved in everything except crime. I don't believe these policemen had 1 minute left in the day where they could fight crime. They were either consorting with criminals or they were playing games. Feroz Khan seems to be a great game player. He was spending his life introducing this one and that one. He was connected with both Senzo Mchunu as well as Feroz Kochalia. He took Mkhwanazi to meet Julius Malema for the first time. Pal, you're a policeman. Just go and do your police work. But I think some of these people are so tainted that they cannot do their police work. And that came out in the Mkhwanazi testimony yesterday. Mkhwanazi also raised the question as to how Katiso, it's the great mystery, how could somebody like Katiso Molefe be granted bail, given the seriousness of the cases that he had to answer? He was basically the guy who arranged the murder of Armand Swart. There's proof of that. Just never mind all the other crimes that he had committed. But how could he be granted bail, which of course should go back to questioning judges? A judge made the decision to release the man on bail when he had some serious cases to answer. And speaking of judges, David Skasana from Mkhonto Wesizwe, and this is where the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee sort of descends into more sort of political lines rather than being a useful place to try and get the truth. He couldn't wait to hear that there's a problem with judges because, Mkhonto Wesizwe has a problem with judges because you will recall it's always been a judge. On the one time that they found against Jacob Zuma, it's a judge that made that decision. And Mkhonto Wesizwe has built their brand on discrediting judges. And he said there ought to be some controls that a judge cannot independently decide cases. I don't know. He sort of says we should have 3 judges. Jury, I don't know, whatever it is. But it seems like just because the judge makes a decision, that's the problem with MK, even when it's pretty clear that a law has been broken. And showing the other part to Mkhonto Wesizwe, he said that there is an Indian cabal at IDAC. Right, this is the body that's set up to fight corruption, and it does have a few people of Indian heritage in there or Asian heritage, And to Mkhonto Wesizwe, that seems more inclined towards apartheid classifications than even the National Party, this is problematic for Mkhonto Wesizwe. And on that note, the grubby curtain went down in the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, and heaven alone knows what is going to come out of that mess. But it was a mess. It was not like the Madlanga Commission where there was cross-examination or where there were evidence leaders. It was just hearsay all the time. It was like watching a real live podcast, nothing based on necessarily on fact, just your political affiliations. If the person in the dock was somebody that you liked, you had a go. If it was somebody you hated, if it's somebody you like, you protected. If someone you hated, you had a go. It was not of great value, if you ask me. What is of great value is what's going on at the Madlanga Commission. And we heard for the last couple of days from this guy, Sergeant Fani Nkosi, who is a doer. He's a guy who gets stuff done. He does the dirty work. But he must go at night. I'm sure he must study Business 101 from Paul Mashatile, because he gets investigated and gets found with 385,000 rand in his safe. Not bad for a police sergeant. But he claimed that the money belonged to his brother, who is a security boss. Not him. Okay, I'm sure somebody believes you. But there's no doubt that this Nkosi was the go-between, where he had all of the top criminals on speed dial. Kat Matlala, the late King Swazi Msibi, and security boss. Now, this is the new term, security boss. It's a new, so we used to call them businessmen. They're actually criminal syndicate leaders, but the security boss, Steve Matsumi, who seems to have taken over a lot of Msibi's work. These are all people that Nkosi consulted with regularly. He was also in touch with the taxi boss, another beauty, Ignatius Matakati, who knew one of the hitmen who murdered Armand Swart, and then sent Nkosi a graphic video of the murder. And Nkosi said, well, he didn't really need to show anybody or report this to anybody, even though he's a policeman. He says, because it was in the public domain. Okay, for once, can a policeman please do their job? But he was, no doubt, he's been a great source of confidential police information for taxi bosses, criminal kingpins, even those who were in the middle of active police investigations. He was sending them police information. The guy's too low on the totem pole. No one's going to save him. He's going to go to jail. You remember, we've got Cyril Ramaphosa's hierarchy of protection. Those people too low on the pyramid get arrested, they get charged, they do face a judge. The guys higher up, they can do whatever they like. They can steal billions and put it in their couch, no problem. Sergeant Nkosi is way too low. The guy's going to go to jail. Let's talk about our biggest party in the country, the ANC, who's now stepping up their war with the USA. This is really going to work well. And their court jester, their Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, the diminutive one, has announced that the party will officially be doing a march on the US Embassy. He will lead the march where they will promote the message of South Africa's sovereignty to the Americans who seem to not understand that we're a sovereign country. Don't know where, because this is in response to what the US Ambassador Leo Brent Bazell III had to say at the BizNews conference, where he said he doesn't care what judges had to say, kill the Boers, hate speech. And according in ANC speak, that's an attack on the sovereignty of the country, because really what Ambassador Bazell is saying is that the judges aren't acting independently, therefore the country is not a sovereign country. And there's no truth in the rumor that Donald Trump is quivering in his boots. And what should make him even more concerned is that Nomvula Mokonyane, Mama Aston Martin herself, the person who on a public servant salary can afford an Aston Martin, has labeled the ambassador as illegitimate. What are we hearing here? Well, we're hearing a couple of political lightweights trying to make political capital out of their sort of squabble with the US. And why they're doing it, it's all about the elections. It's about relevance. The ANC is losing support because it doesn't deliver services. We've got a local government election coming up. So what does the ANC do? They double down on the ideology. And part of their ideology is this very anti-Western ideology, which they believe that if they can make enough anti-American news, that voters will decide that the ANC is the party for them to vote for. So this has got nothing to do with anything, and it's only got to do with the elections. They are desperate to try and make it seem as if they are still the fighters for freedom. And who are the oppressors? The oppressors are America. So therefore, vote for us, because a vote for anybody else means that Trump will win and South Africa will be speaking American. We recently spoke about Fikile Mbalula, together with his spokesman, meeting with Russian agent 9477. And this plays exactly into the ANC's paranoia, where they believe that the Cold War is still on. But the problem is that everything that Mbalula touches turns to mud. Under his control, the ANC has lost its majority. It went from 57% to 40%. I wonder if paying for or getting Russian influence comes with a money-back guarantee, because if they got the Russians to meddle with the elections, they did such a bad job. Of course, nobody in the ANC has said what the response would have been by them or the mainstream media if there was news of the Democratic Alliance meeting with American agents. But it's kind of expected that a buffoon like Mbalula will meet with Russians, even though it doesn't work in their favor. The question is whether yet another blunder by Mbalula, i.e. this whole thing of meeting with Russians, will hurt his own political aspirations. Because remember, this chap seriously thinks that people will see him as a future president. Every decision he makes is a bad one. He has lost badly in Johannesburg, where he backed the hapless Dada Moreira to remain as mayor, even though he lost the election against Paul Mashatile's candidate, Loyiso Masuka. They are linked by the toughest network we have in South Africa, and that is the criminal network, having been involved in a lot of questionable transactions. Mbalula is just a sideshow. He's not going to get many votes. This poor chap, I just wish he would. He just has to take a ladder so that he can climb on the pavement, because, it's a big step up from the road and he's only a little chap. Not too much to see here. It's going to be fun to see the ANC marching on the US Embassy, because I'm sure the whole world's media will switch to watching that live. Thank you so much for joining us on The Political Insider. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you again soon.